Did I gain weight during the holidays? Did I continue with my healthy eating? Did I continue my exercise and my fasting? I'm going to answer all of these questions, and I'm going to talk about all the above as well. I'm going to talk about my fasting, I'm going to talk about my diet, I'm going to talk about exercise and the menopause. First of all, we're going to start with a disclaimer. I am not a doctor, I am not a scientist, I am not a nutritionist. I am just merely me. All the things I'm going to talk about today are things that have worked for me, and I'm just sharing them with you. We are all very different. We all have different health issues. So before you do anything, you must do your own research and speak to the appropriate people, whether it's a nutritionist, whether it's a doctor, whoever you need to see. You mustn't just take my word for it. I'm just sharing what has worked for me through my own research. So let me briefly tell you a little about myself. I am currently 57 years of age. I'm a menopausal woman. I am a mother and I am a grandmother. This time last year I did some blood tests, and I was quite shaken by the results of the blood tests. Before doing the blood tests, I hadn't been feeling great. I was feeling sluggish. I remember calling myself lazy. I remember sitting having a conversation with Rico, my husband, and I said to him, I don't know what's come over me. I've just become really, really lazy. I started to want to take a nap during the day. I just wasn't feeling myself. One thing and another, I ended up having blood tests, and the blood tests came back that I had high cholesterol, an underactive thyroid, and high levels of iron, which can all be very, very dangerous. So I immediately started to change my diet. I looked at what would lower my iron levels, and I looked at what would lower my cholesterol, and I hoped by making all the changes that it would sort out my underactive thyroid. I had noticed that I was putting on weight. I couldn't lose the weight. I had tried so many diets. You name it, I tried it. I did the keto, I did the Cambridge diet, I did extremely low calories. I tried them all. Initially, I would lose a few pounds, not as quick as I used to when I was younger. I would, just cut a few things out, and I would, lose the extra few pounds that I had put on. Initially, lose the extra pounds, not all of them, a few of them. And then as soon as I went back to my normal eating, which is what normally happens, I would gain those pounds back and a few more. Also noticed I noticed I was getting a bit of a belly, and it started growing, and I could not get rid of it. Now this comes from somebody that has always exercised, so I exercised right through that. I'd never ever stopped exercising, and I was somebody that didn't really have to worry about my weight. Did the usual, sometimes when you were going to go out, you wanted to lose a couple, the silliness that we do when we're much younger. But generally, I ate what I wanted most of the time and got away with it because I exercised so much, and because I was younger, and because my body could deal with it. But with age, your body doesn't deal with it as well, plus the lack of hormones. Your body changes, your hormones change, you stop producing some hormones like estrogen and things, or not enough of it. So this is why I decided to make the changes that I'm going to talk about now. So when I hit my 50s, I noticed the changes. But at this particular time, I was also looking after my mum who had dementia, and I was working full time. So I didn't really have time to focus on me. I just put up with it. I knew I didn't feel right. I blamed a lot of the things that I was feeling onto the fact that I was doing so much, looking after my mum, which was, you know, at times it could be really quite stressful when you're caring for somebody with dementia. Plus I had a stressful, you know, a stressful full-time job. We had a restaurant, I was front of house, I was dealing with the public all the time. So anyway, I didn't really have time to focus on myself. So once my mum had passed away, I had the emotions of losing my mum. So initially it was, I was feeling so low because I had lost my mum. But then I thought, no, I'm not right. There is something definitely wrong with me. The weight gain, you know, I noticed it even more. I noticed how hard it was to get rid of this extra weight gain. I just wasn't feeling myself. And I remember saying to a friend of mine at the time, I'm just not feeling myself. My energy levels had at this point started to go down. And towards the end of looking after my mum, I decided I was going into retirement. I just couldn't cope with everything anymore. So when my mum passed away, I was doing less than I had ever done before. Yet I was more tired than I had ever been before. Not realising, of course, that I had other issues at this time. So going back to my mum, I then started doing research about dementia. I wanted to understand, you know, why my mum got dementia. And whilst I was doing that, I started coming across things about the menopause, and I started reading more about the menopause. And I then realised what a difference estrogen can make to a woman. And of course, when we, you know, when we go into the menopause, we're not making as much and all of that. So I continued with my research, and I decided at this stage that I was going to go on estrogen hormone replacement therapy. And whilst doing my research, I also realised that I didn't really need to take progesterone, which tends to be the hormone that can be the more dangerous hormone. And the reason we take estrogen is to protect the womb. And I don't have a womb because I had a hysterectomy in my 30s. Therefore, I didn't need to take progesterone, which meant that, you know, the health benefits for me when I did my research outweighed the cons. It was the conclusion I came to. So I decided to start using estrogen gel, and I just use a pump on each thigh every night. One pump, rub it in, and that's it. That's my hormone replacement. And that made a difference. It did make a difference to me, and I felt the health benefits were good for me because it helps with a lot of things when you read into it. Estrogen has benefits for your heart, for dementia, for lots of things, and I have spoken about all of this. I have made a standalone video on my HRT, which I will link below in my description box, and I get into more depth about my hormone replacement therapy and the benefits and why I started to take it. So that's my HRT. I just take estrogen for health benefits. It makes a difference to certain aspects that happen to us women in our 50s, us menopausal women, when we go through the menopause, the changes, because, you know, we're now living longer. You know, probably my grandmother didn't look like I now look in my 50s. She probably looked like a much older woman. You know, I exercise, I now, you know, I fast, I eat healthily. I'm sure my grandmother ate very, very healthily. Anyway, all that aside, let's move on to diet. So basically, after I had done my blood tests, I changed my diet overnight. Totally and utterly changed it overnight. I got such a fright when I got my blood test back. I wanted to lower my cholesterol. I didn't want to go on medication to lower my cholesterol. I'm not somebody that likes to take medication. If I can fix it, I want to fix it myself. and I'm a great believer that the body fixes itself, which is where fasting comes in, but we'll talk about that later. So I changed my diet overnight. How did I change my diet? I basically looked at all foods that would help control my cholesterol. So I cut out anything that would affect my cholesterol, that would increase cholesterol, and I also cut off foods with added iron. And you would be amazed to see how many foods had added iron. Now, I don't know exactly why I have such high levels of iron in my blood, but from my research I think it could be a couple of things. One being because I'd had a hysterectomy at a young age in my 30s, you know, and you're not getting rid of all that monthly, you know, you're not having your monthly cycle of getting rid of all that blood, you know, that could make a difference. Secondly, I was taking vitamins at that time when I wasn't feeling great in myself, and I'm looking at all these other people taking vitamins, and everybody's taking, well, it seemed to me like everybody was taking all these supplements, and I wasn't brought up to take supplements. I was very much brought up, you get all your nutrients from your food, which I now know is very, very true. You know, if you're eating properly, you're going to get the right nutrients, and you shouldn't really be needing to supplement, is what I believe now. And then I was taking all these supplements which were increasing my iron levels when I really didn't need all these supplements. Also, I used to donate blood before, and then I just got out of the habit. I got out of the habit, just life took over, and I stopped donating blood. So that could have been another change, another reason as to why I had such high levels. And just in case you don't know, high levels of iron can be very dangerous, to your organs. Basically, they can, just to put it, you know, kind of in easy layman's language, it can basically rust your organs. Too much iron can rust your organs. That frightened me. I mean, even things like bread has added iron, cereals have added iron. You would be shocked to see how many things have added iron. So I cut out breads because most breads in this country have added iron. I cut them out totally. I wouldn't take a slice of bread now and eat it. The only bread I would eat now is bread that I make myself, and I don't eat it too often. It's like a treat for me to have bread. So it's bread that I've made myself, which I've stopped making because when I make bread myself, I just want to eat the whole loaf. Greek bread that my auntie sends me because she assures me there's no added iron in that. And there's a soda bread, not a soda, a sourdough that I buy from Aldi's that doesn't have added iron in it either. But these for me are a rare treat. I don't feel as if I miss it, and I don't need it. So any foods that would affect my cholesterol, I don't eat. I still eat red meat occasionally, very occasionally. My diet during the week is basically pulses like legumes, or, you know, chicken or fish. That's basically my diet. I avoid pastas. I don't really eat pastas, and I'm not doing a keto diet, and I'm not, you know, I keep any carbs I eat, I make sure they're good carbs, that I'm getting goodness from them. So I eat lots of vegetables, lots of salads. You know, I have berries, I have, you know, that's my diet. My diet is whole foods. Foods that look like the original state. I avoid anything out of a tin. I avoid packaged foods. So it has to be whole foods for me. I won't eat anything processed. I won't even eat hams because they're all processed. So like I'll say to Rico, well, when we roast lamb, use that for your sandwiches, because he makes a sandwich to take for his lunch. But he'll still eat these things. I avoid them. And of course there is an occasion when I will have something because of whatever reason, you know, but I avoid them most of the time. Processed foods, it has to be whole foods, fresh foods for me. That's basically my diet. So when I break my fast, it's normally with porridge, because I thoroughly enjoy it and I don't get bored of it. I really, really enjoy it and look forward to it. So it's porridge made with water. I add salt and cinnamon to my porridge. I add berries. I add almonds. I add yogurt, Greek yogurt, and I add peanut butter, because that's just yumminess. I don't weigh anything. I just eat until I feel full, and that just keeps me going. And then I'll have, if I don't have enough of that, I find I want to snack. And if I do snack, it's probably going to be on nuts. I'll take a handful of nuts, or I'll just make my dinner. And that's basically how my diet goes most of the time. Of course, I have wine. I now avoid wine. I used to drink. We used to have our dinner on an everyday basis, have a couple of glasses of wine. I don't do that now. I give myself a break. So I don't have wine on a Monday, a Tuesday, or a Wednesday. And the aim is not to have it on a Thursday, but yesterday was Thursday and I had it, you know. But I don't have wine Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Now, going back to Christmas, I was having wine all the time. When the family was here, it was the holidays. So that went out the window. They're not having wine on certain days and all of that. So that was part of the diet that went out of the window. So as we're talking about diet, did I change my diet during Christmas? The majority of the time, no. On New Year's Day, we had a steak pie, which is something I wouldn't normally, and I definitely wouldn't buy a supermarket bought one. Our steak pie was homemade. The pastry, you know, was that ready roll pastry. And then the meat, the stewing meat, we made at home's fresh steak beef it was, and everything else. So that was made at home. But again, the pastry is something that I avoid. I avoid pastries. I don't have a need for them now. I wouldn't sit and have cakes for the sake of having cakes. During Christmas, we were given shortbread. I probably, at the very most, had 2 slices of shortbread throughout the whole period. Out of all the shortbread that we have, at the very most, I think I had 2 slices. But that was a treat for me, and it's not something I would have. I was not going to totally miss out on the shortbread. And I had the cake that I make for bringing in the new year. I had a couple of slices of that as well, and thoroughly enjoyed it. But again, this is not something that I would have all the time. It's a very, very, very rare treat for me. I don't miss it. This comes from somebody that used to open a bag of gummies, wine gums, these sweets, and I could eat them like nobody's business. Rico and I would sit on a Saturday night, Sunday night, in front of the TV, watching whatever we'd have. We'd open up a packet of crisps, packet of gummies with our wine, some chocolate, and we'd sit and munch away and enjoy quite the thing. I would under no circumstances do that. I won't even eat a gummy now. I think I had some gummies sent over, both from Australia and Canada, and I tried them because, you know, it was one gummy. But I definitely wouldn't dip into the jar like everybody else and just eat. To me, I look at them and I think they are sugar. Which brings me on to, I will not eat anything with added sugar. So I eat fruit, but that's part of the fruit. anything that has added sugar, except for my dark chocolate. I eat dark chocolate. I haven't really found a dark chocolate that doesn't have added sugar, but the dark chocolate has so many benefits that for me it's worth it, and it's very low. The one I get is an organic one from Aldi's. So normally even when you look at dark chocolate, it's one of the first ingredients. So you know, the fact that, you know, when you see the first ingredients, that's the majority of the ingredient, and as they go down the list, it's the least amount of that ingredient. So the organic chocolate that I get from Aldi's, it's not one of the first ingredients. So I have my dark chocolate, which is a treat for me. I think I'm now adapted to the taste of dark chocolate. I think the one I get is about 80% cocoa. So yeah, so basically, you know, I make sure that I have plenty of fibre, which is so important for your gut health, which is a whole subject in itself. This is what I have been researching more and more lately. And you know, about the microbiome and how it's connected to the brain. And oh, honestly, look up gut health. And of course, the fibre is really good for your gut health, and you get that from all your vegetables and all fermented foods and all of that. But you know, there's plenty of experts out there that, you know, I'll tell you about these sorts of things a lot better than I can. I'm just telling you what I'm doing for myself. So it's my protein, which could be fish, you know, which protein also, I have a lot of beans. If you follow me on the vlogs, you'll see I make a lot of beans, pulses, legumes, whatever you like to call them, broad beans, chickpeas, haricot beans, you name it, that I make them, and I make them in a tomato sauce and all of that, and thoroughly enjoy them. And years ago, if I made anything like that, I would need like half a loaf to dip into all the juices. Quite happy not to have that. And that's basically my diet. I'll eat most things as long as they're whole foods. Nothing processed, nothing with added sugars or added irons or added anything. You know, the least amount of ingredients on the label, the better that is for me. That's how I eat. I make everything from scratch. I won't eat anything that's pre-made. So that's the diet. Before I move on to exercise, I just want to leave you with this thought. Added sugar has absolutely no benefit to you at all. It does more harm than anything else. I just want to leave you with that thought. Sorry. Right, let's move on to exercise. Okay, yes, I'm a bit of an exercise freak. So I enjoy it. Exercise is something I have always done. I can't think of a period in my life that I didn't exercise. Yes, I can. When I was pregnant, I didn't exercise when I was pregnant. It's apparently fine to exercise when you're pregnant. I didn't, because I was prone to miscarriages and all of that. But that's another topic in itself. So I didn't exercise when I was pregnant. But any other time, I've always exercised. From a child, primary school, right through high school, I've always exercised. It's my thing. It's something I enjoy doing. Now, if you're exercising to lose weight, exercising alone does not help weight loss. It does not help weight loss. Trust me, it doesn't. You know, to lose weight, it's a combination of a lot of things. Mainly diet and exercise helps. Exercise is great for your mental health. Exercise makes you feel good. Exercise tones you. And most importantly, it is good for building muscle. And as we age, we lose our muscle. So you need weight-bearing exercise. You can use your own body weight. I exercise a lot because it's something I've always done. And for me to feel benefits from exercise, I have to exercise a wee bit more than most. So for example, I may do a couple of classes today. For example, this is not the norm, but just to give you an example, in a fasted state today, I did a half an hour MetaFit class, which is like a high impact class. I did a 45-minute circuit class, which is a more weight bearing class, and I then did a half an hour spin class, a cardiovascular class. But that's not the norm for me. Today I wanted to do that because tomorrow I wasn't able to do my spin class, so I put it in for today. But normally I would do 2 classes, so I would do a 45-minute class and a half an hour class. And you know, most days I'll do 2 classes. So let's say, just for talking's sake, I do at least an hour's worth of exercise a day, broken up. But you don't have to do that. You should exercise at least 3 times a week. And if you don't like cardiovascular exercise or anything like that, going out for a walk, you know, doing some sort of weight-bearing exercise to build muscle. So the more muscle you have, the more calories you burn as well, because muscle burns more calories. And yeah, a bit of muscle there going on. And remember, exercise is about having fun. I have a fabulous time when I go to the gym. If you're going somewhere and you're exercising, or the exercise you're doing, you're not enjoying it, change it. Change your environment, change the place. You might be somebody that likes to exercise themselves. I like to go to the gym. I've tried exercising in the house. I don't like it. I injure myself. I like to go to the gym. I surround myself by people that I like to be surrounded by. I have fun with them, and at the same time it puts me in a good mood, and it's good for me. So I do enjoy my exercise, like I said, but it is about having fun. And for me, it is fun. There are times when I go and I think, oh, I can't be bothered doing this. I don't want to go. See, once I'm there and once I start, I love it. At the end of it, I feel fabulous. Honestly. But I know exercise is not for everybody. I fully understand that. But it's good to incorporate some sort of exercise, you know. And you know, a lot of people say to me, I don't have time to exercise. I understand that. But it's about priorities. I exercised whilst working full-time in a restaurant and looking after my mum full-time. There was a time I had carers, but there was also a time I didn't have carers to help me, and I did it all myself, and I still fitted in the exercise because exercise was very important for me and my mental health. Okay, so just before I finish on exercise, did I exercise during Christmas and the holidays? Yes, whenever I could. Not as much as I normally exercise, but I tried to get the odd class in and took the family with me, which they thoroughly enjoyed. So not as much as I normally do, but I did do some sort of exercise, and probably not on a daily basis, but whenever I could, I went to the gym. Also, the classes kind of slowed down during this time as well, so there's not as many classes on, but I did some sort of exercise. So there you go. Now let's move on to fasting. Okay, fasting. So I do a 16-8 fast. So I fast for 16 hours, which includes my sleep time. I do go over the 16 hours a lot of the time, but that's my aim, 16 hours. And I have an eating window of 8 hours. Do I sometimes go over the 8 hours? Yes. For example, last night I did. Last night I took it to 9 hours because I was sitting with my husband having a wee glass of wine watching Netflix. So it's not a big deal. It's not something that I do often, but last night was one of those nights I went up to 9 hours. So for example, if my last meal is at 7 p.m, then I don't eat until 11 a.m. the next day. It's not a big deal, you know, and I don't have a set time of it has to be 7 p.m. every night. I try and stick to an 8-hour eating window and a 16-hour fasting window. That's what I tend to stick to. So I don't, you know, it's not a set time every day. It's just whatever works for me. I have to have things simple. I don't like a lot of rules and regulations. If you give me a lot of rules, I want to break them. That's the type of person I am. I also have an app. It's called the Zero app. It is free, and that helps me keep on track, because once I've hit the fasting button, it makes me accountable. You know, it's not like, oh, was it such and such, or was it, or what? No, I know, I can see exactly. So I've hit that fasting button, I'm gonna fast. So that's how it works. And then I can end my fast on it, and I know exactly when my 8 hours are going to be up, and then to start again. So I really find it a helpful app. So thank you very much, Maria, who's one of my friends here on YouTube, and she was the one that told me about it, because I made a video, my last video, said, oh, I don't use apps, I don't like apps. I love the app. I tell everybody about this app now. So I really do enjoy having the app, and like I said, it keeps me accountable. So the app is free, but if you can upgrade and pay, which I don't have the need to, I just kind of keep a time check on it. You could set an alarm on your clock, but you know, I would forget. The app is there, tap it on, off, and like I said, I'm accountable to it. It doesn't give you the option of a 10-hour fast. I think that it starts from a 13-hour fast and goes up. So like I said, I do a 16-8 fast. So why did I start fasting? Basically because of the benefits. And like I said, do your own research. There's so many good videos out there about fasting. It basically gives your body time to mend itself, to heal itself. It just gives your body recovery time. We weren't built to eat all the time. Does it help with weight loss? It can. I don't do it for weight loss. You know there's some people that fast and then they eat a whole load of rubbish in between. That's pointless. You know, you'll see a lot of people say, just fast, you don't have to watch what you eat, blah blah blah. You know, cut out sugar. Cut out sugar, people. That's what I'm going to keep telling you. Don't eat anything with battery ran out, people. So I don't know where I was, but anyway, back to fasting. So with fasting, it takes about between 10 and 12 hours. We're all different. Like I said, we're all very different. But it takes about 10 to 12 hours for you to use up any carbs from your last meal, including any stored glycogen in your liver. It takes between 10 and 12 hours. Of course, if you exercise, it makes a difference. And again, we're all very different. But let's take 10 to 12 hours. So once you've used up all the carbs that you've just eaten and the ones that you've had stored in your liver, then the body switches to burning fat for fuel. And this is where it can aid weight loss, because then it probably goes into some sort of ketosis, I would think, if it's switching to fat burning, because that's what the basis of the keto diet is. Now what I will say here is, when you are doing a fast, you can only have black tea, black coffee and water. Now I know when you're doing the keto, you can add cream and they add butter and this other thing that they make up, and it doesn't affect the ketones in your blood from the research that I did. But if you add these things to your coffee or your tea, it breaks your fast. It is totally different. This is the research that I have done, because a lot of people get this mixed up. Okay, it's totally different. This is not about ketosis. This is about fasting and giving your body a rest to do its thing. This is what this is about. So if you add butter or sweeteners or cream and things, anything in your coffee or tea or water, you have broken your fast. You are no longer in that fasting window. I just wanted to make that clear, because this is what my research has told me. So when I'm fasting, I only have black coffee, totally black. You can add, I think you can add cinnamon and salt. Some people just can't take black coffee, and you know, it's said that you can, you know, just take the edge off the bitterness, add cinnamon to your coffee or salt. I've never done that. I'm quite happy to drink my black coffee, and I love my black coffee. I'm not a tea drinker, but I drink green tea. I have this one specific green tea that I can drink, and I thoroughly enjoy it. Get it from Costco. I think it's their own brand actually, and I can drink that and my water, and that's all I have when I'm fasting. Anything other than that will break your fast, just to make that clear. Okay, the benefits of fasting. Where do I start? It has so many benefits, so many benefits. It's amazing for your gut health. We spoke about gut health and the connection to everything else, okay? Memory and all of that. It's the same with fasting. So I've taken a note because I don't want to forget. So I have here, so when you fast, these are the benefits. Decreased inflammation, and inflammation, you know, is a big word, but so many other diseases come under inflammation. Decreased insulin levels, decreased blood sugar, improved blood pressure, burns fat, protects against heart disease, improves memory, and the list is endless. These are the benefits of fasting. I have been fasting for so long now. Like I said, on a fasted state today, I did 3 classes and it didn't bother me at all. So it takes time. This is, you know, if you're contemplating fasting, remember, get medical advice, but start slowly. If you think, oh, I could never fast for 16 hours, do it for 10 hours. Remember, this includes the time that you're sleeping as well. It is so easy. So start at 10 hours, increase it to 11 hours, go to 12 hours. Initially, you will find it hard, but you will be amazed at how quickly your body adapts, and how you adapt, and how you can do things in a fasted state. And you then realize that the majority of the time that you're eating, you're not actually hungry. You know, a lot of the time we're eating out of habit. So when you're only eating in this 8-hour window and you're concentrating on, right, I'm only eating, you're naturally cutting down what you eat. If you're eating the right foods and you're cutting out all these added sugars, and you make sure you have your protein in your diet and your fiber, you feel full, you're not hungry, and you get to realize that actually there was a lot of times I was eating and I wasn't really hungry. There's a lot of times when you think back, when you've sat down, I remember for myself sitting down eating a full dinner and thinking, gosh, I need something sweet now, I need that something extra. Yet my tummy was bloated with food and I was still looking for something else to eat. Move away from the table, go and sit down, and then sit to snacks. No wonder I was putting on weight. At the weekend, when we sit and watch TV with Rico with a glass of wine, I'll snack on nuts. I won't open a packet of crisps. I won't sit to gummies and all of that. So honestly, fasting for me is what has made everything else a lot easier. And I have seen the benefits of all of these things, not just fasting, but really, if you know, if nothing else, do your research on intermittent fasting. The benefits are amazing, and it changes everything. It really changes how you feel. It changes how hungry you feel or don't feel. So look at the benefits of fasting. So that's what I do. I aim for 16 hours and eat within an 8-hour window most of the time. Listen, it doesn't matter if one day you can't do it. If you're feeling hungry, you probably haven't eaten enough in your eating window, you know, but just start again, and that's it. It's no big deal, as long as you're doing these things the majority of the time. So that's what I do. The majority of the time, most of the time, I'm eating healthily all the time. I couldn't eat anything out of a tin anymore. I couldn't do it. Sardines probably I would, but even then I check the ingredients, and it depends, you know how you get the sardines and anchovies and things, and there's sometimes in oil. I check, it has to be for me olive oil. So but I don't eat them often. You know, I'd rather have a fresh bit of fish at the end of the day, but sardines are good for you. But I read labels all the time. Honestly, when I go shopping, it's rare because Rico does it all. If it's something that's in a packet, which I'm not going to buy, I will read the labels. Like, for example, the sardines, I'll read what's in the sardines. You know, things like for example, tinned tomatoes, which we don't even buy. We buy this bottle of pure tomato. But for example, if I was buying tinned tomatoes for cooking, I would read the ingredients, because a lot of these things have added sugar to them, preservatives, colouring. Why would I put these things in my body? I just couldn't. I know, who am I? Let me tell you, I was not this person before, but I love the benefits of it, and it's made a big difference. So that's my fasting. When I break my fast, like I said earlier on, it's with most often it's with my porridge and then my dinner. And then if I snack, it's peanuts. That's it. For me, it's not one thing. It's a combination of everything that has made a difference to me. Have I lost weight doing this? Yes, I have. Do I ever feel hungry? Very, very rarely. I feel satisfied. I don't feel as if I'm missing out on anything. I don't crave sweets or crisps or anything like that. I never crave anything like that. I never drink fizzy drinks. I may, if I were to have, for example, which I haven't had for such a long time, but supposing I was out and I were to have a Bacardi, that would be the only time I would have a Bacardi and Coke. I should really have a Bacardi soda, which would be so much better, but let's say that would be on a very rare occasion, a gin and tonic. But I would never open up a can of Coke and drink a can of Coke. And I used to drink Coca-Cola like it was going to go out of business, people. I used to drink so much Coca-Cola, wouldn't touch it. Won't have anything with sweeteners in it. Sweeteners are so bad for your gut health, really bad. So I just would not have anything like that. So for me, what I drink is water, coffee, green tea, wine. That's my real downfall, is my wine. But people, we need some sort of something naughty, don't we? So I do have my wine, but like I said, I now limit that as well. Probably make up for it at the weekend, but anyway, that's another subject. So basically, it's a combination of everything: diet, exercise, fasting, hormone replacement. The combination of all of these and getting the right balance of all of these has worked for me. And you need to find what works for you. Also, to make the changes, you need to want to make the changes. And I know for me, making the changes was easy because I was frightened into making these changes. My blood results gave me the biggest fright ever. So you have to really want to do it. So I wanted to make those changes, and then I saw the benefits of making the changes. Didn't feel I don't need to go for a nap during the day. My energy levels are back the way they used to be. My body is how I want it to be again. I never have a bloated tummy. I have a really flat tummy. It's I feel good within myself. It's just made such an amazing difference to me. Because I see the benefits of it, I want to continue it. I never feel as if I'm missing out. When I watch others eating pies, and I can't see those energy drinks. They churn in my stomach. So when I see people, I see so many instructors drinking these energy drinks, and I can't. But also, I don't want to be that preachy person either, because I know when I was a lot younger, if somebody tried to tell me all this, I wouldn't have listened. I didn't need to listen. My body was coping. It could deal with it. It could deal with all the rubbish I was feeding it. Right now, at this age, I know my body does not cope with it. It cannot cope with it. I was feeling awful. Now I feel amazing, and I'm not just saying this. I honestly feel amazing. I also now have started donating blood again, so that's to help my iron levels, as well as not taking anything with added iron. I stopped all vitamins because I'm eating a healthy diet. I don't need vitamins or supplements. The only 2 vitamins I am now taking are vitamin D and turmeric, are the 2 vitamins that I'm taking. And even with them just now, I'm having a wee bit of a dilemma. I'm doing more research on whether to continue taking them. Obviously, vitamin D we can get from natural light. You know, it's a lot harder during the winter months. Different people need different levels. I've never had my vitamin D levels tested or anything like that. So I'm in a bit of a dilemma, because there's 2 doctors that I watch, and one's very pro vitamin D and one's very against vitamin D and all vitamins. So I'm in a bit of a dilemma about whether or not to continue taking vitamin D. I don't take vitamin D during the summer months, but I do during the winter months. So I'm still doing my research on this. So sometimes I take it and sometimes I don't take it, and I'm like, I don't know. Last few nights I haven't taken either of those vitamins, because I don't know what's best. They say, you know, doesn't matter, you know, taking vitamin D is not harmful, but I don't like popping tablets, even if they're vitamins, because you think of that, the capsule, and do you know what I mean? So I'm in a dilemma with that one. Give me your thoughts on vitamins and vitamin D and turmeric. Give me your thoughts on it. But I won't take any other vitamins, not at all. I think that had a lot to do with the problems, the high levels of things. I haven't had, since last year when I was getting all the blood tests, you know, I had lowered my cholesterol and all that, got all that tested, but I haven't had them all retested. But I think we know our bodies, and I know my body is working well just now. You know, my joints, I was having problems with my joints before I had my bloods done, and my joints are absolutely fine now, and I feel good within myself, so that tells me things are okay and good. So that's my health and fitness journey, people. I hope it has helped you. I hope it has encouraged you. Remember to do your own research and to get help from the appropriate people medics, dietitians and all of that. I've just tried to share my story and try to help you as well. I know lots of friends that do the fast and see the benefits of it as well. We are, like I said early on in the video, we are all very, very different. We all have different health issues as well. So eating nuts, you know, can affect some people. I'm fine with nuts. Eating certain pulses can affect some people. So we all need to find exactly what works for us as an individual, and this is what works for me. And like that, you have to find what works for you. Trial and error. Just before I bring the video to a close, let me answer the questions that I asked at the beginning of the video. Did I gain weight over Christmas? Yes, I did. But my weight is never at a steady weight. I tend to go up and down between 4 pounds. But any weight that I did gain, soon as I got back on track in the normal way that I do things, so back doing my exercise, back doing my fasting properly, back doing my watching, you know, not eating the cake, you know, and things like that, the extra pounds just fell off without me trying. Just so basically the minute I got back on track, the extra pounds came off. But again, the pounds go on and off normally anyway with me. I don't have one steady weight. Okay, did I continue to fast over the holidays? Like I said, I did most of the time. Did I stick to my healthy diet? I did most of the time. Did I exercise as much as I could, considering it was the holidays and, you know, my family was staying with me? Anyway, thank you so much. I know this is going to be a very long video, but I hope you've just put your earphones on and got on with your running on the treadmill or doing your housework and enjoyed it and watched it till the end. If you have watched it to the end, let me know down in the comments. I'd love to know how many of you have actually sat through the whole of this. Let's put a heart emoji, just so we can see who has sat through the whole of this. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. If you would like to see more videos from me, I'm going to link one here, and if you haven't already subscribed, it's the A right here, and I'll see you next time. Bye! Cheers! Sometimes it's fun to have something a little naughty.